I'm Pete Daniel, and I love to film the wildlife in my home of the Tamar Valley. The Tamar Valley is on the border of Devon and Cornwall. Join me as I show you the wildlife around the Tamar Valley for 12 months. Well, we had a good run with the weather in the Tamar Valley the last few weeks, but now the weather's changed and it's coming wet again. But now we've got a break in the weather, it gives me a chance to get up to the garden and check how the crops are getting on. Right, well now all the potato plants has flowered and the edges are all starting to die off on them. Hopefully, fingers crossed, underneath we should have some potatoes. So let's have a little look and see. Oh, yeah, we got potatoes. Brilliant, look at that, look, hey, fresh from the ground, absolutely brilliant. Hopefully there's a few more like that underneath. So hopefully, underneath all this, we should have a good crop of spuds. That's absolutely brilliant. Right, well this is the next crop that I want to harvest, and this is the beetroot. But before I did that, I just went in to collect the eggs off the girls over there. Another 4 lovely eggs today. Put them in the bucket. Right, and I just want to have a look at this beetroot. Oh yeah, we got some lovely beetroot we have. Yeah, lovely. Brilliant. Oh yeah, look at that. That's proper. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Let's pick one of those. Look at that beetroot. Absolutely fantastic. And the reason I want to crop a few of these is because I want to take them home and I've got a plan for them. Not only do I love eating them boiled in salads, but I want to try and pickle a few this year. I'm also going to pickle some eggs as well because we've got loads of eggs coming. Well, this is absolutely brilliant. Not only is everything cropping outside with the potatoes and the broad beans and the beetroot and everything, but I come in the greenhouse and the first of our tomatoes are starting to ripen up lovely. Absolutely brilliant. I shall look forward to eating they as well. Well, that's fantastic to start getting crops out of the garden. It makes all that hard work worthwhile. And you don't get anything in life without the hard work. Of course, the flowers, they look beautiful as well. But before I head home, I find someone not looking too well underneath my bird table, and I think he may need my help. We won't believe this, I've just come down to feed the bird table and I've just found something underneath the bird table, absolutely wonderful. I don't know what he's doing out this time of the day, mind, but have a look at this. Well, there, isn't it? The ledgehog. He was out underneath the bird table, just sprawled out. So what I'm going to do is I'll take him home and I'll keep him in the shed for a few hours and just keep an eye on him, put some water down, a little bit of food for him, and then tonight when it gets dark I'll bring him back up the garden and release him underneath the bird table. And what I'll do then is I'll bring him up tonight when I shut the chickens in and I'll release him back underneath the bird table where I found him, and hopefully he'll go off into the night, and that'll be another end to a happy story. Well, I'm going to take that little hedgehog back home to the shed and make sure it has a good feed and drink up and plenty of rest. But now I've got to get on. With all the lovely produce from the garden, I need to get pickling. Well, firstly I boil the eggs and then simmer them for 10 minutes. And I put the beetroot to boil and then simmer that until it's soft. The eggs is drained and cooled under running water and then shelled, before going in the pot ready for pickling. When the beetroot is ready and it's been simmering for an hour or so until it's soft, I drain it and then leave it to cool. I then gently take the skins off before I chop them and they're ready to go in the jar for pickling. And then it's on to my favourites, the pickled onions. I put the shallots in a bowl, pour boiling water over and leave them for 20 seconds before draining and cooling under cold water. This way the skins come off a lot easier. Well, do you know, I know a lot of people are sat there thinking, well, what's the silly man doing? Why didn't he just go down the shop and buy his pickled onions or his pickled beetroot and pickled eggs? Well, I tell you what, when I was a boy, I remember my mum and my nan doing this for hours on end at the kitchen table. Pickled onions, runner beans, broad beans, peas. If you grew it, you had to store it. Of course, it'd go in the freezer, it would be pickled. And I tell you what, it's too easy to go down the supermarket and buy it. When you've put your effort into growing it, you enjoy it more when you're eating it. And I tell you what, in the winter time, when I'm eating my crackers and cheese in the evening, with a pickled onion, homemade, and maybe a bit of pickled beetroot as well, I shall enjoy it more knowing that we put the graft in to grow it, to eat it. Then I leave the onions in a bowl layered with salt overnight, covered with a tea towel. Whilst I make the pickle for the vinegar with sugar, malt vinegar and a few peppercorns. I bring to the boil and let it cool overnight. And in the morning I rinse the onions well in cold water and pat them dry. Then they go into the jar with the pickle in vinegar, and all the pickled goods are ready to go and be stored for later on in the year. But I can't say that the pickled onions will last that long, because they're proper. Right, well that's brilliant to get all the pickling done. And now that's done, I'm off back down to the farm, as I'm hoping I've got another chance of filming something that I missed a few weeks ago. So fingers crossed anyway. Okay, well I'm back up the farm again. I've come back up to the workshop. Now a few weeks ago I was watching the baby swallows in the nest in the workshop, but unfortunately things happened and I couldn't get back to see them fledge in the nest, which is one of the things I wanted to show you. So it was a little bit gutting for me. Of course, the blue tits earlier in the year, my bird box at the garden, I missed that as well. So I was hoping to show you some birds fledging the nest, but fingers crossed these birds have come back, and hopefully Dad said that he's seen them coming in and out of the workshop. So let's have a look and see. I've just set the camera up now. Right, okay, well the nest is empty, but they could be out feeding. So hopefully I can get a shot of the birds coming back in, and then we'll be able to see if the female is sitting on the eggs. That'd be really, really good. Yeah, Mum's just come back, it's brilliant. Oh, that's fantastic, isn't it? We got a second chance. Well, I think that's absolutely brilliant to see that. So hopefully in a week's time or so, we may see some more baby chicks in that swallow's nest, which would be absolutely fantastic. Do you know, I know swallows can have up to 2 or 3 broods a year, but it's absolutely brilliant to see them again in this nest. Because I tell you what, 30 odd years ago when I was a boy, I remember you could look up in the sky and you'd see swallows everywhere. Now, you're lucky to look up and see 10. So this is absolutely fantastic. Well, that's absolutely brilliant to see that we may have some more swallow chicks in that nest in a few weeks' time. That's fantastic. But now, I'm going back to home as I want to see how my hedgehog is getting on. Well, tonight is hedgehog release night. I was going to let him go about 2 days ago when I first found him. I was going to bring him home and just put him in the shed for a couple of hours, give him a bit of food and water. But to be honest, he didn't look too good. So I brought him back, put him in the shed, left him in there, put some food down and whatnot, and the next day I seen him eating and drinking, which was really, really good. So I was ready to release him, and then of course the weather turned nasty, so I kept him for another night. But that night Tash was outside shouting, "Pete, Pete," the girl's going, "Daddy, Daddy, Mummy needs you, Mummy needs you." I said, "What's going on? What's going on? Calm down, what's happening here?" Of course the hedgehog was in the hamster cage, and of course he had climbed up the bars, boop, 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 like this, and he was hanging out the little hole in the top we used to put the food in for the hamster and whatnot. Of course, I just left the cover off. Of course, he was hanging there. He was just looking out over the top, which is hilarious, really. So that's when we knew he was ready to go back. But the weather was so bad, I left it. So today, he's looking proper, and I'm going to release him back up the garden where I found him, underneath the bird table. So you just have a look at this today. We haven't named him yet. The girl said he should be called Sonic 2, because, of course, I had Sonic last year. But we haven't thought of a name him. But a little cracker. Have a look at this. Hello, Hog. Right, what's doing in? Hello. What's you doing? You want a good sniff? Yeah? In you little biddy, in you, eh? Alright? Time to go. Before you do, I'll give you some tea. Right, Hog? Yeah? Is that good? Absolutely brilliant, eh? Look at that. Look. A couple of days ago, wasn't very good at all. Been in the shed for a couple of days, having a rest up. Absolutely brilliant. He's ready to go back. It's absolutely fantastic. Looking really, really good. But whatever you do, don't tell the wife he's on the kitchen table, or else I'm in big trouble. Yeah, you alright? Right, well I'm back up the garden, up by the bird table, where I found the hedgehog the other day. He was sprawled out in the sun, didn't look very good at all. So I picked him up, took him back home, put him in the shed, and after a couple of days, he's looking really, really good. So I give him a feed before we come up. He's had a bit of tea, but I brought some more food up, because no doubt the greedy little toad wants some more. But he's looking a lot better than what he did the other day. Of course, it's going to be sad to let him go, get quite attached to the animals. I go up and talk to him every day, but it's only right, and it's the best thing for him. He goes back to where he belongs. So I ain't going to hesitate. I'm just going to release him. Right, Og? Time to go. Probably curl up around my fingers, I expect. Oh, yeah, there you go. So, see? Right, I've put a little bit of food down where I found him. Let's see if that tempts him out. There you go, Og. All right. Oh, yeah, he's straight on the food. Look at that, look. Greedy little toad. You just had your tea. Oh, that's brilliant to see, isn't it, eh? Well, that's absolutely brilliant, that is. Hedgehog's gone off into the edge. He had a belly full of food and he's happy and looking good. And I'm happy too, and I'm going to go home now for my tea. Brilliant.